Hello, before we go to the video, this is what we will be doing, collecting information related to the IP address of the users so we can provide a better service to them. Let's go!
Django, IpInfo, JavaScript, tutorials for Jamie, this is Silva.
What the fuck, HTML?
There's only C.
Today we'll be looking at GeoIP tracking with IpInfo. So the point is to get IP information of a user to provide a better service according to the location of the user and other type of information that we can collect. We will be using IpInfo, okay, and there's one thing that you need to keep in mind. They have a request limit of 1000 requests, I believe. So if this is enough for you, it might be a good option. They have this website, ipinfo.io, with an API, and when we have the IP address of the user, we can request more information to IpInfo. I'm gonna leave this link in the description in case you want to follow from there, and also I will be downloading this GitHub repository with a simple Django project so we can jump already to the topic. So git clone, and this project is named my site. Let's run it and open it in the text editor. It has an app named polls and a class-based view index returning this template index, which should be around here. Okay, let's take a look on how it looks as well. It's just this simple page with an image. Anyway, let's get to the views. We will start by creating a getContext data method. And instead of returning this by default, we will say that the variable context is equal to this. And perfect. First part to our code, we need to collect the IP address of the user. Now we need to take care of two different cases. First one is to collect the IP address from self.request meta get http x underscore forwarded 4 underscore 4. Okay, so if this IP address exists, it means that your IP address is coming from a proxy and it's going to return a string with multiple IPs. So it could be something like this for the example, and it could have even more. The first IP address is the real user IP address, and the remaining IP addresses in this string refer to the proxy IP addresses. So what we want is to isolate this first IP address. Let's do that. So if there's an IP at all, because there might not be if there's no proxy. So if there's an IP, we will say that the IP is actually equal to IP dot split. Let's split through the comma. So through this comma, we'll get the first item in the list because split returns a list, and we'll still use strip so we can remove any white spaces. Alright, now this is for the case of existing a proxy in the communication, which can happen frequently. Now the other case, probably more common, it's that the client is communicating directly to the server. So in this case, I'm going to copy because this is going to be quite similar. So we say else, we're not getting the IP from HTTPX forwarded, but actually from remote ADDR. And if for some reason this doesn't come, you can define a default value. So this IP address is actually from Google. One last situation that will happen is that when we are testing this in local, we will have an IP address 127.0.1, which is known as the loopback address, okay? It's an intern virtual IP address, I believe. I couldn't explain you precisely without getting back to the documentation, but the concept is that when you are in a local host, you have a loopback address, which typically will look like this. If you are using IPv4, and if you are using IPv6, it will look like this. So double column 1. So let's check that if IP in, and we can create a tuple for this. Oh, I'm going to copy that, copy paste, and also the other case for the IPv6. So if it's a local host, let's assign this IP to be also the Google address. All right, because these IPs will not give you any information anyway. That's part of it. Uh, all right, there's the proxy thing, but it's just collecting the IP address from the user after all. Step 2 is to actually send this IP address to IpInfo and take care of the response. So we can define a URL for this. Sorry. So let's define a URL with, uh, let's say it's a string. Let's say that it's a string and HTTPS IpInfo.io slash IP. Let's continue with another slash and JSON and pass in some parameter named token, which we will need to get from IpInfo IO. We can name this really token. Let's create a variable for the token and get. Let's get to IpInfo. If you didn't log in, log in. When you are there, you will log in a page like this. And in this left side menu, you have this API token link. And from there, you can copy your token. So it's this first section. Copy paste it and hide it from you, actually. Let's see if I can successfully during the video. Alright, now that we have our URL ready, we can use Python requests to make a request. Let's do that. Let's say that the request will be assigned to response and requests.get URL. Make sure you import requests, and if the response that status code is equal to 200, this means that it was a successful response. So I'm not gonna cover any other case, but in the future, if you are using this professionally, you should think about that. We will say that the variable data is equal to response.json. And actually, let's take a look on how data looks like. Alright, I'm bringing the local host in here, and let's reload this. And here we have our response in a JSON format. So what do we have? IP address, host name, city, region, country, location, and in here we can see that location comes in a single string. We can split this in latitude and longitude, organization, postal, time zone, and more information. Let's collect some of this information for now. And I think let's start with splitting the latitude and the longitude. So we can do that with creating a list and getting from data the lock key. Let me confirm exactly lock. And if for some reason it's not there, let's make a default value of 0.0. Again, let's use split to put this into a list through the comma. So very similar to what we did before. That's good. Now we can create a Python dictionary to store all the response information. And from here, it's up for your creativity. You can make many things with this, and you collect the rest of the information like this. I'm actually going to duplicate these lines. Should be enough. So one for the IP. Let's make one for city, region, country, org, and latitude and longitude. Now for these last two, it's a bit of a different case because we put this data into a list. So keep that in mind. The latitude is going to be in position 0 of loc, and the longitude position 1. Now it's a matter of getting the correct keys. So I'm going to just copy paste this to the get argument. Alright, one final thing is to associate location to our context dictionary that we are returning. So let's do that and finish. Let's say that context location is going to be equal to location. Alright, that's about it. We now have this information present in index.html. In this post, I uploaded this code with a table, an HTML table that we can use instead of typing everything. So we are using the template tags. Let's try that with a copy paste and check this information. Let's reload this, and there you go. So it's showing for the IP address that we are using by default. Let's get back to that. If you take this code to production, it will really print the IP of the user that is accessing your web page. And yeah, that's about it. Now it's up to you what you will do with this. And the goal is to provide a good service to your users. For a next video, I'm planning to show you one other way that we can get this IP address information in a more massive way, so with no request limitations, by using some other service. That's about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you so much for the support. And yeah, let me know if there was something missing. And yeah, thank you and bye.